a source in Washington who has high security clearance, who has been into the Smithsonian and verified all of what came out of there. It's amazing. The world needs to know this, but they won't. They won't talk about it. It's officially non-existent. But on my blog, atruodd.com, I had a whole series. I did articles about this. I wrote about it with pictures. And that was one of the most controversial things I blogged about, because half the people were, wow, wonderful story. Others says, well, this is all Photoshop nonsense. This time it was never, either good or bad. They were just. But I had a lot of comments, a lot of hits on this.
So where did you get your photos from?
From my fellow in Washington who invited me to come back to the Smithsonian and go and see him himself and verify him.
So you've seen some of this stuff?
Yeah, I have not seen him, but I have the pictures, and I believe him completely. Yeah, because the story, as you dig into it, it fits. G.E. Kincaid was well paid to basically shut up. Okay, my source in D.C. explained that it was scientifically and politically problematic on a worldview. Because, first of all, the Egyptian embassy claimed ownership because they were Egyptian in nature. But what part of location, don't you understand? According to my guy, here's why it was controversial. 2 points. First of all, according to there were walls and walls of hieroglyphics carved in, giving the whole history of who they were and what they were doing and why they were there and where they came from. See, for the people say, well, what's the Egyptians doing at the bottom of the Grand Canyon with all this rapids? How'd they get there? Did they come by ship? Well, that didn't happen till Columbus, right? According to what was there on the wall, they came via a massive tunnel system. And this was the entrance going into the tunnels going back. It documented two things that correspond with the Hopi and Pueblo Indians. The Hopis talk about the ant people and the kivas that they have on their second and third mesa in Arizona, and they came out from these massive tunnel systems after the flood. They were put in there to basically the whole earth was covered with flood water. Okay, that's the Hopi tradition. But the Hopis also had the tradition of part of those underground subterranean chambers. There were big giants that they were never to work with. So there's that giant thread in the cave system. And according to the Hopis that I know, they still exist there. They're just set off. Steve Quayle talks about the Kandahar giant that happened in Afghanistan, where the giant came and engaged and killed a couple of our special forces in Afghanistan. And that's, again, shut down, and everything else is quiet about that. Because see, if that happens in Afghanistan and the tunnel system there, it validates what I'm talking about. Here, until the Rosetta Stone was found, they weren't able to interpret those hieroglyphics
in the Grand Canyon.
In the Grand Canyon. But now that the Rosetta Stone, we know how to read the hieroglyphics. It's an amazing story, according to my source in Washington, D.C.
So the powers to be have kind of interpreted them.
They know exactly what it is. Okay?
What's the story?
The story is, this is the descendants of the biblical Joseph of Egypt. Tells the whole story. Lays it out as to how many generations they actually had a civilization there and why they left. It's all their history is on the walls. And it's definitely history that's not in the history books, and they're not going to talk about it. First of all, it validates the Bible, and they're never going to do that. Okay? Then the next thing, it validates there's a whole antediluvian underground subterranean civilization involving giants. I'm not going to let that out either. Why? Because again, that goes back to Stephen Quayle's Empire Under the Ice and the connection to Antarctica and the Anunnaki, the secret society. It's really the deep state is keeping the lid on this. That's what it's about. And people have died over this information. This is earth-shattering and life-changing when you see that this is much different than what you believe that the world is.